Good morning. Welcome to Member Focus Monday. I'm Christina Schaefer, Social Media Manager for HAR. I'm joined this morning by Russ Capper. Welcome, Russ.
Thank you, Christina. It's great to be here.
Thank you so much for joining us. Those of you that are tuning in, before we get started and I have Russ introduce himself, go ahead and like this post, share it with other people that you think would be interested, because Russ has some really great information to share with us today. So Russ, again, thank you so much for being here.
Sure.
If you could just start out by introducing yourself to our audience, your background and what you do.
Okay. Well, my name is Russ Capper. I am the Executive Director of Houston Exponential. Houston Exponential is a nonprofit. I'm going to get into the details behind that a little bit later with what I think is a worthy cause for all of us here in Houston. My background before being the Executive Director with Houston Exponential was I was in the media business. I felt a long time ago that entrepreneurship and innovators all needed to be championed more. And so I started first a radio show called the Business Maker Show that gradually went to the web, became a video show. Along the way, running into lots of energy entrepreneurs here in Houston, I started a second show called the Energy Maker Show, and ultimately a third show called the Health Maker Show, and really enjoyed it. I just really felt like those causes didn't get the publicity that they deserved. I was always trying to grab the local media and say, hey, these are great stories. And ultimately decided, no, I guess I have to do it myself. So that's what got me going. Before that, and kind of overlapping, actually, I was a startup entrepreneur myself who happened to venture into the world of residential real estate and had started a company actually way back in 1998 called erealty.com, which was a brokerage. We kind of approached the internet different than anybody else did back then. And we had realtors working for us. We were kind of built from the ground up on the internet, and we were acquired by Prudential Real Estate in 2005. And in fact, the thing that really got me into the media business is that I had to stay with them for 5 years because it was an earnout. And that was a little bit different than doing our own e-realty thing. And so I got a little bored, but I still worked hard. But I had to get something that I could really feel strongly about as a cause, and that was entrepreneurship.
Very good. So that leads us into, I guess, you getting involved with Houston Exponential. Can you explain to us, what does Houston Exponential do?
Okay, so Houston Exponential is a nonprofit organization that was really formed by the mayor's technology task force in conjunction with the Greater Houston Partnership, which I'm sure most of your audience knows. That's kind of Houston's chamber, very active, broad, covering lots more than Houston. And they both recognized a major missing part of the Houston economy, and started feeling and seeing that this is going to impact us far into the future, which was really hard for a lot of people to accept because at the time, really we're the energy capital of the world, an extremely rich history of innovation. I kind of get offended sometimes when people talk about how low we are graded in innovation these days, because this city, moonshots, dome stadiums, one that's kind of controversial now, but has benefited our country immensely, horizontal drilling and hydraulic fracturing. But the part that everybody suddenly noticed that we're missing is the digital innovation part, which is mostly kind of software, high tech. It's kind of my background. What I didn't tell about my background is I also was an IBMer way back in the days. A lot of people don't remember how significant IBM was, but it's the largest corporation in real high tech. But we just don't do much of that here. And if you just drive down 290 or Highway 71 and get to the state capitol, you can see this tremendously thriving economy in Austin, Texas. Go out west in Palo Alto, Seattle, Raleigh, Durham. I mean, there's pockets of digital innovation happening everywhere. And those cities and their economies are growing significantly. It's kind of based on the fact that people started realizing that those models, those businesses, have a high value, high growth potential. And to get down to the bottom line, what happens, it always sort of turns into money, but those companies, when they grow and big and exit, meaning they sell or they do an initial public offering, they create a whole new category of wealthy people in the city that want to go do the same thing over again.
Yeah.
And so they end up forming companies, starting companies, becoming angel investors, becoming venture capitalists. And we just weren't participating in that category at all. In fact, we would have innovators here that would be recruited out of town to Austin, to Palo Alto. Even many years ago when we launched erealty.com, we had lots of people encourage us, said, what you guys should do is relocate, to San Francisco or San Jose. I have a strong feeling for Houston and always resisted that. But it was obvious that that's what was happening. Specifically, I heard Bob Harvey speak at a conference 3 or 4 months before anybody even talked to me about this job, and he was painting the picture about why we were doing this. And remember, all of this started before the Amazon HQ debacle, as I like to call it.
Yes.
So that even heightened the interest. But I saw Bob Harvey speaking, and he actually used the word, we don't, or the city, we don't become the next Detroit. And it seems real far-fetched. Right. When you're driving around and seeing the construction that we could be headed in that direction. But economies move these days very rapidly. And so I think it was the mayor and Bob Harvey and the group that recognized this. I applaud them for it, not because they gave me a job, but because, boy, it's kind of scary how fast these things move.
Yeah, Houston, we're a prideful city. So being told no by a company like Amazon, that was a big blow.
Well, not even no, but no, you aren't even in the top 20.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Okay. So what progress has Houston Exponential made so far?
Okay. So there was sort of an analysis done, a major pro bono analysis done by Accenture. We should all owe them a thank you. They looked and confirmed that what we were worried about, we needed to be worried about. They compared innovation and growing innovation, Houston to other markets around, and Chicago, which is always sort of the city that we think we're going to grow past them soon to be the third largest in the country. Man, they are thriving in their innovation ecosystem right now. They figured this out about 10 years before us. But one thing, no matter what, that we just didn't have much of here is venture capital. As everybody knows, there's a lot of money in Houston. And it's mainly in private equity and mainly centered on investing in energy, oil and gas, and big real estate plays. And those require different types of capital than venture money, and the way the formula works when you take risks in investing in small startup companies. And so there was an initial investigation of, well, how could we possibly change that? We ended up sort of emulating really copying a plan that came through Michigan and has been very successful. There's a company up there called Renaissance Capital that put this formula together. And the way that it works is that, and this is a separate sort of parallel organization to Houston Exponential, and it's called the Houston Exponential Venture Fund. And we raised money from Houston corporations that kind of looked at this problem realistically and said, wow, we're kind of all in this together. We need to all do what we can do to change this. Quite frankly, that's why I like being in front of your audience. I mean, they depend upon a thriving market as well. But so the way that it works, particularly corporations are encouraged to contribute into what's called a fund of funds. And the goal has been to raise $50 million. We can go further if we're good and go up to $70 million. But that's not money to go invest in startups. It's kind of almost not enough. But there's been an impactful way to do it, like they did in Michigan that we're following. We take that money and invest it in venture capital funds, many of them in the West Coast and many of them on the East Coast too, with an encouragement to come here and look at our innovative economy, look at our startups, even look at our corporations that invested in it and the innovation going on there. And we've made significant progress. We're up to $30 million. There is already an obvious impact to that. We're seeing more small venture capital firms that are now calling Houston their home, but we're seeing like 40 from both coasts that are scheduling visits here now to come. And that's huge. And that doesn't mean that we're home free by any stretch of the imagination, but
there's interest.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. And I think there's a lot of interest in realizing, there really is major innovation going inside the corporations that are here in the areas of robotics, Internet of Things, cybersecurity, data science. All that stuff is really happening. It's just not happened in the same way it does in other cities that manage to turn that into a thriving asset of the economic development.
Right. So you've alluded to this a little bit, but our audience is realtors. Sure. Why is this topic so important for realtors to be aware of?
Okay. Well, great question. I was hoping you would ask because, in reality, I think we've been coming off of a series of record years in transactions. But anybody that's been around very long at all knows that doesn't go on forever. Yeah. Sure. And that was sort of the obvious forward thinking of the mayor and the partnership, and that they saw, wow, a problem ahead. And this is just the way economies grow, and those economies that are growing with it recruit from those that aren't. And so we wanted to get back up on the lead part of that. And that's why realtors should really pay attention to it. And not only that, but and we do have a couple of initiatives that have actually been aimed at some successful companies in these thriving markets to recruit them or part of them here. And we're making actually some inroads quite significantly. But one of Houston's clear advantages is the cost of living. I've already seen this. There's a company, I guess I'm not even supposed to say the name of them because they kind of stay below the radar, but they are successful at recruiting developers, particularly from California here. And boy, when you really sit down and talk about them, it's the price of housing that they always talk about. It's a huge advantage that we have. In fact, if there's some real creative people in the audience, our website is HoustonExponential.org, and it's a new version of what's there before. We're really sort of proud of it, but we still think that there's an opportunity there to somehow or another display the advantage of the cost of living and housing in Houston. We hear stories all the time. This one company I'm telling you about, they were saying, yeah, we just, and they recruit young people. It's kind of a technology gaming company.
Right.
And they said, man, one of the young guys came here from California and within a month bought a home. And the next day he's coming into the office and he goes, man, you won't believe this. I went in the shower and there's 2 shower heads. And we all started laughing just thinking about it. We think he was actually from Los Angeles. In Los Angeles, he only had 1 shower head. It was probably more like a mister than it was a shower. So this place is great.
Yeah. Okay. So what is Houston Exponential planning to get involved with in the near future?
Well, we're really focused on, we really sort of have 3 objectives, and it's to attract, connect, and promote. And we still want to attract companies from outside of here. We want to attract talent here. We want to attract venture capital here, which we feel very successful at already, but there's still room for improvement. And we want to connect all these parts, together. And so we're working on that. We're hosting events all the time. I would welcome people to check out our website and see when we have new events. They're often quite interesting with some of the major innovators here in the city. One thing I really should mention too is that, and this is what helped me want to take this job, is that when they defined what it includes, fortunately, it also includes TMC, the medical center, and TMCX, and the Center for Device Innovation, and J Labs. And we truly lead the world out there. Yes. Now, granted, just like in digital and software, we do lose some of those people. They're recruited out of here. But there's more momentum going on today. Bill McKeon, the CEO of of the Texas Medical Center has just done an outstanding job. The teams out there have done an outstanding job. And we host a lot of events out there. And it's pretty exciting out there for sure.
Good. So I'm going to take a second just to see if we have any questions from our members that are watching. If you have a question for Russ and the work that Houston Exponential is doing, just type it into the comments and we'll take a look at it. And looks like, I know I saw a few people saying that this was a really important topic. So
good.
Yeah.
I mean, sometimes I feel like it's hard to convince people because we really are thriving right now, but we really have to position ourselves better for the future.
Yeah, Gary said this is a hot topic these days. Mary Alice says, very cool. Her husband works for Accenture.
Oh, well, Accenture played a huge role in all this. They actually do it all over the country, but locally, I mean, it caught a lot of people's attention, and it was an in-depth study, and we work with them closely all the time now too.
So we've seen a lot about the Innovation District in the news. They're kind of picking up on that little buzzword there. Can you tell us about that?
Sure. Well, when I mentioned that what we do is attract, connect, and promote, connect has become a new obvious advantage of economies trying to connect, obviously, entrepreneurs to investors, but also having a place for them to convene and work together. And we have quite a few of those already, in Houston, accelerators and incubators. People have probably heard of the Cannon out west, the station downtown. But we still felt like there's room for even more still.
Right.
And Rice University, Dr. David Lebron really stepped forward big time. And I'm sure most people have heard that the Innovation District is now what used to be the old Sears store. It's going to be completely renovated, and renovation is probably an understatement. I mean, they are going way overboard to make it a pristine, almost like a magnet for innovators to come and show up. And the surrounding area too. In fact, we're already starting to call the Innovation District is now in the Innovation Corridor. And there's so much going on now that the corridor goes from downtown Houston all the way out to the medical center. And so nowadays you have to talk about the whole thing. If you saw the announcement, I think it was only last week that TMC 3 has now been redesigned before it came out of the ground. And if you look at that now too and read in detail, you'll understand that's going to be a thriving hub itself. There's a lot of people that even think that the Cannon and the size of what they're building in the area out there is also going to be a convening hub. And then there's this rumor.
And where is that exactly?
The Cannon is on. Somebody's going to have to help me with the name of the street.
Sorry.
It's right out west. It's right off of 10. It's on the first street west of Sam Houston Toll Road.
Okay.
I can't remember the name of it right now. But
near I-10 and Sam Houston.
Yes. But it's massive, and I mean they're going to have living quarters there for entrepreneurs. They're just finishing, and there's even the rumor that's going around too, the story about the downtown Houston post office, this old giant concrete structure that's no longer a post office. That's right on the bayou too is going to be turned into one too. So this is going to be an innovation thriving community here in the future.
That's exciting.
You bet.
So we have a few questions.
Okay.
Joy's asking, how is Houston Exponential different from the Houston Partnership? I thought promoting Houston is what they do.
Well, yes, they do, and they do it quite well, and we are real close to them. They are a member organization. With all of the companies, large companies in particular, encouraged to join them and boost the economy. The difference is Houston Exponential is development just of this one part, the innovation economy itself, and particularly on these high impact, high value digital startups. We're kind of like, to a degree, a subsidiary of the Greater Houston Partnership.
Similar goals.
Right.
So Miriam is asking, is there a Facebook page to see the events? Do you guys have?
Yes, we have a Facebook page. I think if you just go to Facebook, search on Houston Exponential, you'll find it. But I would also, though, encourage you to go to houstonexponential.org, and there's an events listing there. There's lots of information there. We're really happy with what's going on there. I have one favor to ask of your audience.
Yes, go for it.
So in this area of promoting that I mentioned, we promote by featuring what we think are some of the best innovators here in Houston, what we call HXTV. It's a video interview series on YouTube. And we've bent over backwards to satisfy YouTube, because when you satisfy them, they feed more. When you finish watching, when you finish watching a YouTube video, you get, here's 10 more you might want. Well, if you're a good citizen, a good YouTube citizen, and if you go see our page, you'll and if you know what YouTube likes, you'll see that we're hitting all the points. There's one though that we need improvement on, and we think we're our own enemy here. But the one that we need improvement on is subscribers. And we think we don't have them because we're always pushing them out to our audience. So I know how many realtors there are in Houston.
Yes.
And we would love to reward you by bringing more people here to buy homes in the future. But if you can just subscribe, and all you have to do is, just go to YouTube and search on Houston Exponential. Don't tell anybody I said this, but you don't even have to watch them. You just have to subscribe, because if we get our subscriptions up, we will hit all the points. We're doing well. We have probably 50 incredible interviews there. My favorites are Dr. Billy Cohn. He's on there twice. He's the kind of the medical device guy out there that's really focused on, and they're getting close on, the totally implantable continuous flow artificial heart. It's an artificial heart that doesn't beat like a heart. It's driven by turbines because it's just a pump. So once you're living on it, you no longer have a pulse. But they've gotten over that. And then Dr. Rob Ambrose from NASA. The NASA people. I mean, I've spent time out there. I was just blown away. I thought when we started privatizing space travel, there was nothing going on. That's totally wrong. He's the head of their robotics people. Is fantastic, very popular interview. Had the mayor on, had lots of people. Would love you to go watch them. Yeah. But would also love you to subscribe.
Yes, so go to YouTube and subscribe to Houston Exponential.
Right.
Very good. So Michael was asking, and you kind of already talked about this, that you're asking, is Houston Exponential affiliated with the ION? Can you tell us more about it in the area? So we kind of already.
Well, I would just add a little bit that Dr. Lebron, who's the head of Rice University, that's the head of the ION, he's also on our board of directors. I mean, he bought into the mission big time, and there's lots of aspects of Houston Exponential that are not direct reports, direct connects. We're best sort of described as the umbrella over all of the greater Houston area and the contiguous counties, and we help the ION, we help Station, we help the Cannon, we help TMC3, we help them get along, we help publicize them, we feature their successes.
Very good. Michael actually shared some links to some articles too about the TMC3 and the Canon. So thank you for sharing that so other people can see that as well. So Denise actually has the same next question that I had, which is, how can realtors get involved with this adventure, as she put it?
Subscribe to our YouTube channel. No, but be supportive. There's at our website too. You can send us a message. We think that one reason that Houston doesn't grade real high in innovation is our massive geography. And I keep mentioning these places like the Station, the Cannon, TMC. There are lots of startups, lots of innovators that aren't in any of them. In fact, sometimes they're the more mature ones. They're out there, they're independent on their own. If you see one that you know of, or if you work at one, or your spouse does, and we haven't featured them on our YouTube channel, please send us a message to feature them. I mean, we would love to help. And if somebody's real creative out there that could come up with some real cool, succinct way to show what kind of house you can buy in Houston, Texas for not a lot of money. I mean, when you go to our website, there's sort of 2 intro videos. If you don't know it and you watch them, one of them is kind of this animated description about how cool it is to be an entrepreneur. The other one is a video that the Greater Houston Partnership made that champions Houston, and it's great too. But if there's something, and I think we say in that one, the cost of living. But if anybody has a real creative idea how to demonstrate that, we champion Houston as much as we champion innovation.
Right. Well, our members we have some very creative marketers,
Cool.
so I'm sure somebody out there can help you out with that.
Cool.
Maybe you should do some sort of contest for it. Yeah.
well,
for the best marketing campaign
we would interview them for HXTV.
Oh, there you go. All right. Well, that looks like all the questions that we have from our members. Right. Is there anything else that you want to share while you have them?
No. But maybe if you invite me back sometime, I could come back in and update them. I might
absolutely
come in more prepared next time.
Yeah, we'd love an update in the future once more things have been achieved and different things. Different companies are coming to Houston. That would be great.
They could all get together and persuade Bob Hell to become a corporate advertiser, even though you're a nonprofit, on Houston Exponential.
Okay.
All right. Hi, Bob.
Hi, Bob. All righty. Well, that's it for today's Member Focus Monday. But I do want to let everybody know that next week we will have Laura Whitley from Metro on. She's going to be talking to us all about transportation in Houston. As you know, that's very important. People move here. They need to get around, right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
All right. We'll see you guys next week. Have a great one.
Thanks a lot, Christine.
Thank you.